Nearly 100 people have been killed in a massive fuel tanker explosion in Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone. The blast occurred after a truck rammed into the tanker. At least 8 people have died, scores more been hurt in Houston, Texas, after a crowd surged at a performance by rapper Travis Scott on the opening night of a music festival. Around the world, hundreds of thousands of people are marching to demand more urgent action to combat climate change as world leaders continue with the COP26 summit in Glasgow. And Joe Biden has praised the $1 billion infrastructure bill that passed through Congress overnight as a once-in-a-generation investment that will create millions of jobs. A vote on a second bill on social policy and climate change has been delayed.
British police arrest over 100 people in London for protesting measures aimed at preventing the spread of COVID-19. Ethiopia says military operations in the Tigray area have clear and limited objectives, but the head of the United Nations expresses concern about the move. China defends increased screening of imports from Australia. The new inspections come at a time of diplomatic tensions between the two sides. And in the United States, a few undecided states continue counting ballots from the presidential election.
Masses of pumice stones are still washing ashore and causing trouble on Okinawa's main island. Ferry services were affected on Friday, and they remain disrupted. This lobby is quiet. That's because a ferry service that connects the terminal with a remote island has been canceled. The canceled ferry changed its destination and arrived at another port on Saturday afternoon.
The ferry did not operate yesterday because of the pumice stones. There's a problem again today. I'm in trouble. Something must be done to improve the situation.
The floating stones have also affected fishing boats and Coast Guard patrol vessels. An NHK camera crew filmed objects that appeared to be pumice stones drifting in the waters off Kochi Prefecture. Further caution is needed as the stones may ride the Kuroshio ocean current and reach the seas off the Kanto region. Officials with Japan's Land and Transport Ministry met with experts on Friday. They discussed effective ways of collecting and removing the stones. One participant said pumping up seawater is less effective than using backhoes and nets. The experts will compile a report by the end of the month. Japan's new chief cabinet secretary has visited Okinawa for the first time since he assumed office. He discussed a controversial plan to relocate a U.S. airbase, but insisted the current plan is the right one. Matsuno Hirokazu is also the minister in charge of mitigating the impact of U.S. forces in Okinawa. He visited Ginowan City, the densely populated area that hosts the U.S. Marine Corps Futenma Air Station. The central government wants to move the base to a less populated part of the island. Matsuno listened to the views of locals living near the air station.
There are lots of night flights taking place after 10 p.m. That noise wakes children up.
I'll convey your thoughts to the government. We will certainly take them into consideration when working on relocation issues.
The central government plans to relocate the Futenma base to the Henoko area of Nago City, which is also located in Okinawa. Many people in the prefecture are fighting that plan. They want the base moved out of the prefecture. Okinawa Governor Tamaki Deni met Matsuno and called for an immediate halt to the construction work in Nago.
Many residents have expressed their opposition to the relocation plan. I do not believe that you can remove the dangers posed by the Futenma base by moving it to Henoko.
I think the relocation plan is the only way to maintain the deterrence of the Japan-US alliance and remove the dangers of the Futenma base.
Matsuno later told reporters the government will build trust with the local people through dialogue and detailed explanations. In Japan, climate campaigners have been calling for action. They're demanding concrete measures to save the planet as policymakers prepare to negotiate at the COP26 conference in Glasgow. A youth group organized rallies in 10 prefectures. In Tokyo, they took their message to the busy Shinjuku district.
We have to create an environmentally friendly ecosystem so that all people, young and old, can join hands to protect the earth.
One of the members had her say via video link from Kyushu.
I wonder when Japan can stop using coal-fired power generation. I think it's time for it to go now.
On the street, one onlooker expressed frustration with the government's lack of action.
It's clear we have to take action. We are facing a climate and environmental crisis. Why aren't our leaders doing anything about it? It makes me angry.
The focus at COP26 is whether delegates can agree on plans that would keep the average rise in global temperatures under 1.5 degrees Celsius. Negotiations go into full swing next week when ministerial level talks begin. Lawmakers in the U.S. House of Representatives have ended a months-long standoff over one of President Joe Biden's signature projects. They've approved a $1 trillion package to improve the country's aging infrastructure. The Biden administration proposed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act back in July. It sailed through the Senate in August but stalled in the House due to opposition from progressive members of the Democratic Party. Now it only needs Biden's signature. He called it a monumental step forward as a nation. The legislation will ramp up government spending on infrastructure for the next 5 years. It's expected to create jobs by investing in roads, bridges, ports, and airports, among other projects. But the Democrats are still divided over a larger spending bill. They postponed a House vote on a $1.85 trillion package that includes help for child-rearing families and measures against climate change. Moderate Democrats say they want a clearer idea of the costs before they'll back it. Now, the latest on the coronavirus, the United States has begun a new phase in its vaccine rollout. Children as young as 5 are now receiving shots. This elementary school near Los Angeles, California, started giving jabs on Friday. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has officially recommended the use of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for those aged 5 to 11.
It was scary because I don't really like needles. I think it will prevent me from getting COVID.
The dosage will only be 1/3 the strength of the shots given to adults. Health officials are trying to reassure parents that it's safe for their children.
The vaccines ended up being 91% effective. If they experienced side effects, they were mild and similar to those that are experienced by teens and adults.
The expanded rollout means around 28 million children are newly eligible for the vaccine. After years of delay, people in the Vietnamese capital Hanoi are getting to ride on the country's first ever urban railway line. Authorities hope the train service will help cut traffic in the city and reduce pollution. The new railway line connects the stations of Cot Linh and Yen Gia, a distance of 13 kilometers. Travel on the line is free of charge for the first 15 days, and eager passengers have been lining up.
The trains are very clean and it's bright inside. They run smoothly and so fast. I'm happy and excited.
Demand for urban train service in Vietnam is high as the country's roads are clogged with traffic. There are a number of rail projects underway around the country, but most have fallen behind schedule because of problems buying land and soaring construction costs. Local media say work on the newly opened Hanoi line was delayed 12 times since it began in 2011. Finally, we end with footage of some beautiful autumn foliage in western Japan. Okutsuke Valley in Okayama Prefecture lies at an altitude of 380 meters. It's designated as a national scenic spot and is especially popular with visitors at this time of year. The leaves on the maple and other trees began changing color in late October and will last through mid-November. The trees are lit up every evening. Those were the stories for this hour.